I wrote Happy Campers because I've had a lifelong interest in child development and positive psychology and just understanding what makes people flourish. In my many years at summer camp, I've had the opportunity to try out many of the ideas that I've learned about and just figure out better ways to live better lives and most especially help our kids become thriving, happy adults.
And then when I became a mother myself, I found that a lot of the things that we do at summer camp can be taken home and used at home just as well to help kids just connect with each other and with their parents and have a lot more fun at home. And I really didn't connect the two when I was first a parent. I kind of kept my camp ideas and my family ideas separate, but I realized about 5 years into parenting that I needed to bring more of my camp techniques home and really simple things that we train our camp counselors to do, parents can easily bring home. So that was one of the reasons. The other thing is that I just have been noticing in the past few decades, it just seems like kids and parents are struggling a lot more with all kinds of different things. But I've talked a lot with other camp directors and they're seeing the same trends, that more kids with mental health issues, with social skills deficits, and just parents who are really worried about their kids and really anxious about what they need to do to be good parents. So I started by my Sunshine Parenting website or blog back in 2012, and I just started sharing really simple things that we do at summer camp. And it just started resonating with people who had been to camp themselves, were reminded of the things they learned when they were camp counselors or the things they experienced as campers. And then I also found that I was touching some parents who had never even been to camp before, but just liked the idea that you don't have to do any crazy big changes in your family to get some really positive outcomes. And I started the blog in 2012, and then in 2016 I started my podcast, which I've had so much fun interviewing people on it, and I've had the chance to talk to all these youth development experts and people who just research and write about how to have a better, happier life. And that's been so much fun for me, and I guess I've always been this lifelong curious learner, so I'm always taking in information, and I love to tell other people about the things that I've learned. My kids always joke that whenever I've read a parenting book or some psychology book, I share the entire book in summary form with them over dinner. And my husband says the same thing. He doesn't need to read books because I tell him what's in there. So I just really, it's been a lifelong dream of mine to write a book. And this was just such a natural thing for me to write about because it's just my whole experience and what I've learned over the past 3 decades. So I tried to synthesize into this one book some of the higher level ideas and really simple strategies that I really think that parents and teachers and really anyone who works with kids can use to just help build a stronger relationship with kids and help them develop the character traits and skills that they need in order to be thriving adults. And so yeah, that's why I wrote Happy Campers. Well, this is kind of a story about one of my revelations as a parent when I realized that I wasn't parenting the way I wanted to. So when my kids were little, I just really, like I did everything in life, I wanted to do it really well and get everything right. So I pretty much said yes to every opportunity which revolved around my kids. So there was a time when I think I was room mom, Girl Scout troop leader, and the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back was there was this live auction at the school, and I found myself as the live auction chair. And this was in the early 2000s where videos weren't being used that much in auctions, but I had this idea that we should have a little video about each auction item. And so I was staying up really late at night editing these videos about each of the auction items. And I was like too tired the next day to barely even smile at my kids. And I started thinking, why am I doing all this stuff? And even this like volunteer things can go awry when you do too much of it. And it actually wasn't really benefiting my kids. In fact, when I was a tired mom, I wasn't as good with them. So I think a lot of parents do this, especially working parents. We're trying so hard to do everything well that we kind of do a little too much of everything. So one of my fundamental philosophies that I've learned is that less is more, and the famous put on your own oxygen mask first. So I just really learned, as my kids started getting older and I had more of them, that I really needed to prioritize just making sure that I do things like spend time with my own friends and get exercise and hang out with my kids without there being any goal, like not helping them with their homework, but just hanging out. And one of my favorite memories, so my daughters are all grown now, but when my oldest was in her last year of high school, together with my girls, we watched the entire Gilmore Girls TV series, and it was just so much fun because it was just like our hangout thing to do together, and we had just so many bonding events around that series, and I'm so glad that I learned before it was too late that to be a great parent doesn't mean that you have to be doing this stuff all the time. And I also just loved how I taught my kids early to start doing a lot for themselves because I really needed them to. And it was great for them. And they all now say that they find that when they go out in the world, they do have kind of more skills, like life skills, than some of their peers. And so, that I think, again, even just that example made me realize that maybe some other people would like to hear about some of these ideas that I've learned over my past 25 years of parenting and my past 34 years at camp. So I really wanted to get people to want to read it, and everybody loves a good secret. So I set it up as 9 summer camp secrets. And these secrets, once you read them, I think most people will say, oh my gosh, I kind of know that. They're simple things that I think sometimes we just forget along the way. And so each chapter is one secret. For example, the first one is connection comes first. And that's sort of the foundation of the book. The last secret is coaching kids to better friendship skills. So they're kind of the bookends of the book are both about connection and relationship. So the first secret is about how to connect with kids. And so as a parent, just simple practices, little things you can do to just build that relationship, because we've learned at camp that kids won't listen to us or even follow our advice unless they first know that we really care about them as people. And with our own children, I think sometimes we lose sight of that importance. We get so fixated on all the things they need to do and we want them to do. And we forget that in the end, what's really important is that we just have this great relationship that will last, hopefully throughout their adulthood. And so at the end of each chapter, I really love this part. There's a section called Bringing Camp Home at the end of each secret. And there are 5 different ideas of different activities or things you can do that you can either do at camp. Like some of them are done at camp, some of them are more home-based or like classroom-based, but they range from really simple that don't require any buy-in, even from like the other co-parent who you're raising your kids with or anyone else. So that's called One Simple Thing. And it's really just a change in yourself, in either something that you can try to think differently about or a little thing that you can do that will help you either like in the connection piece, in the connection chapter, just relate better to your kids or connect more with them. And then another one of my favorites is the sticky note solution. So each secret has a sticky note solution where something you can do on a sticky note, because I've found that oftentimes writing a note is more effective than repeatedly saying something. So and it also works for really positive things like at camp we do wows, which are, just saying a nice little thing that someone did. Well, leaving your kid a wow is such a cool idea. In fact, this woman that interviewed me for her podcast, she told a story that she was really annoyed with her two daughters. They were sitting in the back seat and she asked them how school was, and they said, boring, boring, boring. And they kept saying boring like 100 times, and she was getting so irritated and everything. And she said she just had read a chapter in the book, and she left a sticky note on their bathroom mirror that said, "My life is never boring with you two," or something like that, really cute. And then she told me that they wrote her a note back about how much they love her. So I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And again, it's not overwhelming or daunting to think about writing a sticky note. And so I really wanted the book to not be another thing that made parents go, oh my gosh, I'm doing everything wrong. There's too many things I have to do. I wanted to make it just really simple little things that are really doable and don't feel too daunting. And I also really don't want people to try everything in the book. I just want it to be kind of a smorgasbord where they can pick out the things that resonate with them or they think would be like most helpful in their family. So I have some books. The way I want people to use this book is the way that I've read some of my favorite books, which is I just keep them around as a resource. I don't really think even this is the kind of book you need to read cover to cover. I think depending on your kid's age or the kids you work with and what topic you're most interested in, you can kind of skip right to it. One of our former counselors who's a teacher said he wanted to go straight to the chapter on kindness, and it's called Making It Cool to Be Kind. And he really wanted to bring that into his classroom. And so I thought that was great. He had just received the book and that's what he was going to zero in on. So you could just read just one of the secrets that you want to go to. You don't even have to read them in order. And then you can go to the back and use the Bringing Camp Home ideas and look through the different strategies and see if any of them sound like a good idea for you. So I'm hoping that it'll be a book that it'll resonate with people, and it will be something that, maybe something's going on in their family, like they're wanting to emphasize or kind of help build more responsibility in kids. And so The Secret, that kids are more capable than parents think they are, talks all about responsibility and having kids get more involved with household chores and things like that. And there's some really fun downloads too, that is like a household audit or a household chore audit checklist thing. And you can kind of think through, like as your kids get older, like you might want to look back to that chapter or that list and be like, okay, now the kids are a couple years older, what things can be added to their responsibilities and take it off of mine as the parent? So I hope that it becomes a resource that people use like that. That was kind of my dream for it, is not that it's just sort of something that's here for a little while, but that it will stick around and people will read it and want to keep referring back to it when the time arises or they're thinking they want to tweak a little something in their culture, in their family. It's interesting, now that the book's been out for a little while, I've had some people, I've been at specifically at book clubs. When I have a chance to speak to people, they understand what the book is about. But a couple times I've been at bookstores, and when people look at the title, they think it's about camp or like reasons to send your kids to camp. But Happy Campers in the title, the way I have it, is really about being happy people. Like the phrase we use, like, she's a happy camper. So it's referring to just people who have a positive outlook and are thriving in life as adults or kids. So that's what I mean by happy campers. But then the subtitle says 9 summer camp secrets. So I think sometimes people don't read beyond that and they think it's all about summer camp or, how to run a summer camp or something. But that's not what it's about. It's really things that I've learned at summer camp that can be applied in other settings. So people that I know, it has resonated with other camp professionals who have gotten some new ideas for their camps and families and have shared more of their ideas with me. But it's also really for teachers. I really want teachers to read this because I know from a lot of the teachers who I know, their time at camp as camp counselors and their experiences working in the setting of camp really helped them be amazing teachers. And I also know my my daughter is a high school English teacher, and she told me that going through her teaching credential program, she really didn't learn the relational piece, or kind of, how to get your classroom to bond together, how to bond with your kids. And so she's had a really, really fun first couple years teaching, and she's getting a lot of positive feedback from others who think she must have been teaching for longer, but really she learned the skills at camp as a camp counselor. So I really want to get this message to teachers as well as parents. I really wish, I've often said, I wish every parent would have the opportunity to spend at least one summer as a camp counselor, because having a large group of children under your care that you need to connect with each of them, and they're all very different, and you need to help them get the cabin clean and get all the chores done, and you need to motivate them to try new things. There's a lot to the job, and I think sometimes people kind of discount a camp counselor job as being just sort of super fun, easy summer job. It is probably one of the hardest jobs that college students will do during their summers. It's very demanding. The standards for camp counselors are much higher than people would set for themselves. So when you think about, if you hire a babysitter, you would expect them to, be positive all the time, never be on their phone, make sure your kids are at all times following all safety rules. But as a parent, you sometimes get a little lax on things, and that kind of thing. So I think the reason I think all parents would benefit if they had a chance to be a camp counselor is you get a lot of experience with positive behavior management, communication, just so many fundamental skills about working with kids that we don't learn in school or anywhere else, even in teaching credential programs. So I just think it's a valuable training, and I wish everyone in the world could be a camp counselor, but I know that's not realistic, so at least they could read my book. So I really wanted to have some way to interact with people about the book, and next school year, from the 2019-2020 school year, I'm going to be traveling around. I have some really fun speaking engagements already scheduled at different schools and with different organizations, but those will be venues where maybe I'll get to talk to people a little bit in Q&A afterwards, and I really want to connect with people more and have a chance to discuss just their ideas. I really think that if you read one of the chapters in the book, it'll probably spur you on to realize, first of all, things you're already doing that, maybe aren't even there, but other people might like that idea. So I'm really hoping this online book club that we have set up, it's a Facebook group, and I'll put the link here in the video, but it's, I think it's Happy Campers Book in groups in Facebook. And so what we're doing is, over the summer, there's actually a summer read-along schedule that you can download on my website. And we're going to be covering one secret each week in July and August. And I thought it was just kind of, a good time of year to be covering this topic. I'm in a fun place to do videos with a good background, and I'll be immersed in camp life and probably coming up with more ideas that aren't even in the book. So I'm just excited. So each week what's going to happen is, in the Facebook group, I'm going to put a short video about the secret, just kind of a summary of the secret. I'm going to be posting additional resources about the secret and some new things that aren't even on my website or in the book, and quotes from it, and a question that we can all answer throughout the week and be discussing. So I'm really hoping it'll become a place where we're going to connect and share both kind of struggles that we're having with kids and possible ideas and solutions that we can come up with together. So I'm hoping to make it just a fun conversation in there in the book club group this summer. So that's what I'm really hoping to invite you to join me to read the book this summer, and as we read along, just kind of learn from each other and collaborate on even more ideas that we can just all share to help raise this generation of kids who overcome some of the issues that a lot of kids are facing. We really want our kids to be super resilient and able to make it through the ups and downs and the challenges that they're inevitably going to face. And as parents and teachers and camp counselors, we can really provide a real inoculation against things in our relationship with kids, in the way we guide them, in the things that we encourage them to try. So I'm just really excited that hopefully we'll all learn from each other and have a really fun time reading through the book together. I also think that the chapters are pretty short, so hopefully one chapter a week isn't too bad, even for people who don't like to read that much or don't read very quickly. And I also want to encourage people, even if you can't read the book, but you want to join us and just talk about the concepts in the book, feel free to join us, because hopefully it'll encourage you to maybe go back and read afterwards.